Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Hey, welcome to the show, y'all. So this episode is brought to you by my new podcast, the Rick the Dawn podcast. Please check it out and give me 5 stars just because. I appreciate it. Hey, so I finally caught up, y'all, and I want to start with a big question. Did the ladies miss a golden opportunity? Did the women miss a golden opportunity to start a all women's alliance? It was 6 women, 2 guys. Those 2 guys being Carson and Yam Yam, and it made me wonder why did that never come up? There's this talk around the Survivor universe that women just never can work together on the show. I saw one season. Don't ask me what number it was. I saw one season where the women were very strong. I think the winner's name was Kim. Don't hold me to that, but it was a very strong women's core of players. And this season has some very strong women players as well. So when I saw them lining up to play in the latest challenge, I looked and I said, "Wait a minute! 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2." And I said, "Hey, why didn't they have a conversation?" And I think watching the show back, they may or may not see that. Do you think a women's alliance was possible? Do you think that could have happened? And if so, I mean, let me just put it out there. I think it could have happened. Heidi is a smart player. Carolyn is a smart player. Jamie is a quiet player, and Lauren is a strong player. They had all the makings to make mincemeat. I try to be clever. I'm sorry. They have all the makings to make. It's been a long day to make mincemeat. I still can't do it. I'm gonna get this. You know what? Pause. Time out. Forget Survivor for just a moment. They had an opportunity to make mincemeat of Yam Yam and Carson. I did it. Okay. Anyway, and I think they missed out on a golden opportunity. Just my opinion. Now, quick recap. Carolyn starts the game off with talking too much. We know this game is all about information, so she leaked a lot of information and details in her soliloquy. Oh, got it. Her monologue, got that one too. So she just kept spilling the beans, and like I said this a long time ago. I believe that Carolyn is autistic, functionally autistic, and certainly not a disrespectful dig at Carolyn. I love Carolyn. Just for the record, I love her, but I do think she has autism. All right, and she is a success story. She's a success story for sure. Every time somebody says something around Carolyn, her eyes get to moving back and forth, and you can tell that her brain is literally talking to itself. And it's the funniest thing to see. Yeah, Carson, Yam Yam, and Lauren win the reward. How about Lauren? Lauren had a great episode, and I'm done. I will no longer entertain that Lauren does not deserve to be here. I will no longer entertain that Lauren is not a top tier player in this season. She is, period. And I say that because she helped win the reward, and then she turned around and won the challenge. So you're not going to win. She won both challenges in one episode. I don't want to hear it anymore. That's her second win, by the way. Tika remains strong. I said this a long time ago. I said when Ratu and Soka were battling, trying to take each other out, they were using Tika for leverage. And I said, this is going to end bad for both Soka and Ratu because they're going to wipe each other out. And Tika's going to be sitting there like, hey, so you ready to wipe these last few players out? And that's exactly what's happening. So shout out to them for doing that. Why no women's alliance, man? Why not? Why did that not come up? I'm so surprised. Maybe it's because most women alliances start, they come up in the beginning of every season when everybody's trying to figure out who each other is. But by this point, I think it's probably a mute point. And then also, I think Carson is just too loved. I think Yam Yam is too loved by the remaining 4 women that it just wasn't practical. Okay, Lauren is a late bloomer, wins her second immunity. Shout out to Lauren. I'm sorry. I know people don't like Lauren. I don't know why. She's a beautiful young lady. She's very articulate. She's gorgeous, and she's a mother who, provides for her children. If you don't like that, then the problem is you. All right, Carolyn feels the tension of people applying against her. Yam Yam contemplates taking out Carolyn. How about the tension there? Yam Yam really surprised me. But then again, I was happy to see this side of Yam Yam because for the longest time, I was wondering if he was just so silly that he couldn't take the game serious for just a moment. And this is one of the first times I saw Yam Yam just show that he wanted to win the game. It wasn't all about jokes and playing around. No, he wanted to win. And it was great to see that he even contemplated taking out Carolyn, which I thought would have been a good move. We know that Carolyn did not go home, but it makes me wonder, why did he not go through with that? The votes ended up being 4-2. So going or voting or Yang Yang voting for Carolyn would have forced a 3-3 tie, and they would have had to revote. I think he made a mistake. I think he should have definitely led with his mind on this one. His heart may cost him some money. All right, Carson makes a good point. Why take out Carolyn? She's loyal to him. So at some point, Carson is pitched on the execution or delisting of Carolyn, and he makes an amazing point. He just says, "Hey, why would I get rid of Carolyn?" He considers it because yeah, he's a game player, he's a survivor, he's a fan of the show, a super fan. So he realizes getting rid of Carolyn is probable or one of the best ways to actually win the game. But then he comes to the second realization that getting rid of Carolyn is getting rid of one of his own numbers. And I thought that was great insight, because I thought he was so embedded in the game that he would not have picked that up, but he did pick it up. And I thought that was great, which is why I picked Carson to win this season, because he's bright, he's smart. But anyway, he was able to figure that out. Yes, Carolyn is a threat, but she's a threat to everyone but him. And she's such a loyal player to Carson that she played her only idol to protect him. And trust me, Carolyn was on the hot seat this episode, so she gave up her own safety. Who's voting out that person? Someone who will lay their own life on the line for you in the game for $1 million. Yam Yam struggles with decision to take Carolyn out. What would you do? What would you do? Would you have taken Carolyn out? That's a tough thing to say. And I think I heard it once in this episode where they said, hey, it's not necessarily a game anymore. You're on an island with, a select few people, and you're on the island with them for 23 days. And at that particular point, you realize, you know what? I love these people. These people are more than just contestants to me. And I think that's exactly what happened and what was going through Yam Yam's mind as he was making his decision. Anyway, Jamie says too much of tribal. When we get to tribal, Jamie just lets it all go. She has diarrhea of the mouth. She says, you have to be the change you want to see in the world. And tonight we get a chance to be the change you see in a game. I was like, ooh, what you just said was somebody's going home and it's not you. And I think every single person at that moment said, that was the wrong thing to say. And I would argue, this is just my opinion, that Jamie actually became the vote when she said that statement. I don't think everyone was 100% on board, but when she said that, it was so misplaced that I think it cost her. Carolyn's face says it all while Yam Yam is talking. So Yam Yam gets asked a question by Jeff, and he had diarrhea of the mouth too, for sure. And he started to allude to this whole idea that the person who goes home tonight is someone who has to go home for the betterment of all players in the game. I guess this person is a big threat. And when Carolyn hears this, her eyes go in completely wide, and she just goes through a metamorphosis almost. And you can hear her thoughts, which is hilarious. Her eyes help you figure out what she's thinking. Everything. She's having a moment, okay? And you can see her brain. She has a superpower. I always thought that children with autism have one thing that they have a superpower in, and it's like their one defense mechanism that nature gave them to be able to survive. And I think hers is just discernment, being able to hear something and just pull all the BS out, throw it aside, and say, what do we have left? And I would be very surprised if the next episode Carolyn doesn't address Yam Yam and just say, hey, did you really consider voting me out? But then again, who knows? Because I feel like Carolyn has been bamboozled for maybe a few tribals by this point. Obviously the last tribal, not so much, but before that, yes. Jamie goes home, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan. What's up, Myron? Myron's in the building. I wasn't a big how you like that retro bowl, bro? I told you I was gonna take care of you, my man. I told you I was gonna take care of you. But anyway, let me stay focused. But no, I was kind of happy to see Jamie go home because she was almost too positive. You ever met a person that's so positive that they kind of just like irritate you? Yeah, she was one of those for me. And but I still like that she is positive. Like, I just couldn't be around her because I think it would drive me crazy. She's so nice, you know what I mean? She'll make me feel like I'm mean because she's so nice. But anyway, she goes home, and that kind of, that it was what it was. Carson and Heidi still in the game. I just want to just quickly point out the fact QB1. I know. You're right. Anyway, See, Myron's gonna get me off task here. I'm trying to stay focused. All right. So anyway, this is what happens when you have so many different things on your channel. It's like you get so so it happens. But no, I want to say this real quick. Just going back, please go back and watch episode my episode 0, 1, 2 reaction, whatever the first 3 reactions to this season. Go back and watch them. And what you should hear me say is that Carson and Heidi are my top 2 picks. I always pick 2 players every season. Heidi was number 2, Carson was number 1. And I'm gonna be real with you. I'm so happy right now because both Heidi and Carson are still in the game. And that means one thing. That means that I know what I'm talking about. All right. But hey, Heidi waste an idol. What did you think about that? Did she overplay? I mean, first off, I'm always someone who hates when a Survivor player goes home with the idol. And I say to myself, just play it. Just play it. When you feel itchy, play it. So on one hand, I'm happy she played it because I'd rather her play it than go home. On the other side of the spectrum, I definitely know that she wants that moment back. She wants that moment back because, she lost her idol, and that's it. Anyway, I want to say as a final point that I really, really enjoyed this episode, number 1. And number 2, I really, 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 really enjoyed, or I should say, I'm happy with this top 5. This final 5 is one of the best final 5s I've seen in a long time. Every player is a contender. You have Lauren, a player who is a sleeper, but she is very strong. Not that Franny's gone. It's Lauren's game to lose, in my opinion. You have Heidi, super smart and super strategic and just clever. You have Yam Yam, overly charming. Everyone loves this guy so much that when he wins, they cheer. That's insane. You have Carolyn, a player that's very awkward, a player that no one thought was as smart as she was, including myself. And she's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, just a pleasure to watch. Her idiosyncrasies, her eccentric behaviors, they're all adorable. I love them. And then you have Carson, the whiz kid, a guy who works for NASA, super smart. I love this final 5. And for the first time in a long time, I would be happy if any of these players won. There's not one player amongst the 5 that I would say I'm upset they won. I'll be honest with you. For episode, or I should say season 43, when Gabler won, I know Gabler was a fan favorite for you all, but for me, he just did not. He wasn't fun to watch. And I'm going to, kind of push back against myself and say he was a survivor, because surviving is not necessarily standing out and open and waving your arms. Surviving is what Gabler did. He stayed under the radar, and at the end, he ate everybody up. So great gameplay to him, but it just didn't feel like, he wasn't a winner that I could support, to be honest with you. It was hard to support, I should say. And I know a lot of people feel differently, but for me, that's what it was. I didn't like Gabler winning that season. I just thought that there were other players more deserving. This is my personal opinion. But season 44 is completely different. Every player is strong. And I'm going to be honest with you. Here's my last confession. I didn't want Jamie to make the final 5 because I just thought that her gameplay didn't quite match up with the other players. I felt like she was just lucky to be there, and it was her day today, right? But anyway, that's my viewpoint of this episode. It was really awesome, and I hope you enjoyed the reaction and recap. If so, like the video. I'll holler at you though. Peace.